is happening out there, rotoscouts baseball fans? Good to see everybody. Wednesday afternoon. Ugly day here in the New York area. And I tell you what, it's appropriate because we've got an ugly baseball slate to talk through today. This is a disgusting one. I was talking about it in Discord. We've got Shohei Ohtani as a pitcher, not a hitter on DraftKings, hitter, not a pitcher on FanDuel, pitching at Coors Field. We've got Yusei Kikuchi at the top of the pitching slate. We've got multiple starters who aren't going to go 5 innings. It is disgusting out there. Should be a fun one to talk through. Monty's in the chat. Good afternoon, Monty. Good to see you, buddy. Monty says, afternoon, everybody. Friendly reminder to pay your monthly dues for Lennon Sosa's fan club if you haven't yet. Do so before DK pricing algorithm makes Lennon the highest priced infielder. Lennon is on a tear. Right there in the middle of the board on top. 17 home runs on the season. 174 ISO, doesn't necessarily align with the premium contact he's making. Need to find some more extra base hits around the edges, but he's been tremendous. 105 WRC plus, part of the resurgence in Chicago. Break up the White Sox. They've been ridiculous lately. And guess what? We're going after him again today with the pitcher on the mound for the Braves. That'll be fun to talk through. I put that in Discord before as well. One of the things I was looking forward to talking about was Hurston Waldrop going up against these White Sox. So the White Sox definitely due for another 24 runs today. Should be a good one, though. I mean, it'll be fun. It'll be great for DFS. Had a monster yesterday. Yankees go out and hit 9 home runs as the top team in the home run in the power index yesterday. Not too shabby. They were not at a monster total either. They didn't, so they drew some ownership, Yankees ownership, but nothing crazy. And just absolutely went off as planned in that Tampa ballpark. I think out of the 5 guys that we had above the magic number in the home run model, 4 of them hit home runs. Stanton hit 2. Bellinger hit 2. He was at like 8.9, but model crushed yesterday as far as that Yankee spot. Not looking quite as sharp today. I mean, the model is. The Yankees are not. Going up against Drew Rasmussen, a much better pitcher, a pitcher who's very, very good at keeping the ball in the yard. So we'll look at them. They're still going to project out well. There's a lot to work with on this slate, though. The Braves checking in at a 5.26 implied total in this opener look pretty good. Up and down kind of team. But let's dig into it as the room fills up. OMG Lowe's is here. Ricky Lee, Jake Swales, Beyond the Rabbit Hole. Ricky Lee saying, get ready to know Hurston Waldrop. Yep, absolutely. Sounds like a NASCAR driver to me, right? That is such a NASCAR name. Solid handle, though. I like it. Kid's good. Schwarber hit number 45, National League leader. That just popped up on my phone. Let me make sure I'm muted here. I do have placeholders in, right? Just 8 games to talk through. We'll get through it in snappy fashion for us. Some of those spots we can, Coors Field, etc. What is... FanDuel's got some sort of offer. Anyway, get into that later. So this is the disgusting pitching board. Shohei Ohtani is not available here, so ignore that. That's his hitter price. That would be his projection. 7,500 on DraftKings. The problem with the Ohtani spot is that is the ceiling. I mean, not the absolute ceiling because he could find a few additional strikeouts. He could go out there and strike out 10 in the 5 innings that I gave him. He did pitch into the 5th inning the last time out. I gave him 5 in Coors Field against Colorado. I have no idea what to do with it. We'll get into it. Ugly pitching board. Those 3 guys, interesting. This is the wild card. We'll talk through that in a second, but let's put up the runs board. Ignore the gaps up at the top. That's just where the early slate was. If you're hanging around the site in the Discord, you got the early slate as a bonus today. Typically, we're just providing the main slates, but when I can, I'll jump in, and that was just an easy 3-gamer on DraftKings, 4-gamer on FanDuel. Went completely sideways around the pitching. I think Framber Valdez went bust. A couple other things got ugly there. But that just prepares us for tonight's slate. All the talented pitchers, or most of the talented pitchers, pitched this afternoon. Did not do well. White Sox at the Braves, a 9-run total. 5.26 implied on the Braves side. The White Sox, 3.85 implied. Vegas not on board. Me not on board. White Sox fully engaged in the turnaround. There are some good bats, as we've talked through multiple times. We were just talking about Lennon Sosa as people were coming in. There are interesting bats in that lineup. They're going up against a rookie pitcher. We'll make the argument. But it's not a great total. It's not a great team. It's not a great lineup. Recent performance aside. And Waldrop is a talented kid who has started on a tear. Braves bats definitely looking appealing. It's Martin Perez. He's one of the starters who I do not expect to go 5 innings. He went 3 1/3 in a bulk relief appearance on the 13th. 7 days ago? So full rest. But just 3 1/3 in that one. Hadn't been making deep starts early in the year anyway. Wasn't working deep previous, so I just don't expect much there. 5 max. So it's an ugly one on the mound for the White Sox. Definitely targetable with some Braves. The one attribute that maybe carries through for Martin Perez is that he's not terrible as far as home runs. So the Braves kind of mid-board power-wise while showing a strong projection and second highest total on the board, highest non-course total. The Yanks just 4.17. It doesn't look dissimilar in the total as it did yesterday, but their power index numbers are cut significantly by the presence of Drew Rasmussen on the mound for the Rays. So a different kind of a day for the Yanks. That said, that ballpark, that environment definitely can play up that power. Once again, if Rasmussen's off a little bit, if they get into the bullpen, Rasmussen doesn't necessarily make the deepest starts, so they'll have a shot against the bullpen. So there's still upside in going to the Yankees, and hopefully you get them a little bit low owned. But they're expensive, and it's a little bit more difficult to justify. The Rays look pretty good on the other side. They're going up against Cam Schlittler. He can be good. He is definitely in play as a starter. But a 4.42 implied total and a bunch of power showing. The Rays are weird in that. Let me pull this up real quick. We'll see it again in a couple minutes. But look at the Rays' power. Nothing. Ridiculous. Nothing. Very good. Right at the magic number. Not bad. Nothing. And right below the magic number. There's a ton of power showing through several of these guys and absolutely none showing for the contact-oriented hitters like Chandler Simpson in this lineup. Just a little bit funky the way that it's kind of an on-off there. But I do believe in the power upside. I also, though, think that giving Cam Schlittler's stuff, if he's on form, maybe he gives up a home run, but still has a pretty high-end performance, finds some strikeout against that lineup. So it's a back-and-forth situation there, but I would have to lean Rays. Home run pick of the day comes from the Rays. I think he's unfortunately going to be very highly owned. I typically try and find lower-owned guys as the home run pick in addition to likely home run hitters, but I couldn't resist on the guy that we're going to use. The Athletics and the Twins, I like the look of the A's today. 4.42 implied total for them. They're going up against Bailey Ober, who has been super homer prone throughout the season, and they're stacked with home run hitters. You don't really have to do complex math to figure out the A's today. The Twins going the other way, 4.68 implied total, showing plenty of quality, showing upside for power in the home run model. I just think there's a little bit something that's interesting about JT Ginn. Underlying talent, a little bit of strikeout stuff, going up against a diminished but still dangerous Twins team. So that's another back and forth situation for sure, not dissimilar from Schlittler, where I think the kid's good. Schlittler's been better between the two. Ginn also went short outing the last time out, but he gave up 5 earned runs on 6 hits and just lasted 2. That was against Tampa Bay. Not a crazy dissimilar opponent. 5 innings to start before that, 4 1/3, and then a 6-inning outing prior to that, 5 innings. So I think 5 is totally in the cards, and then we'll see what happens. He's interesting. He's usable. He's crazy, crazy cheap. As of last check, it is still Kumar Rocker supposed to start for the Rangers. Not a good option on the mound. Had a couple okay performances, a 5-inning shutout, 6 strikeouts, 4 hits allowed to the White Sox back on June 15th. He was down in the minors, went down on the 31st, made 1 start on the 7th at the Colorado affiliate for 5 2/3. Got banged up by them for 5 runs, and then didn't start. That's a 13-day gap. So he's another pitcher. I don't really expect 5. I think we're probably dealing with, 3 innings and see how it goes, see what the pitch count looks like. But I think they're going to manage that spot. They're just getting them some more looks at the major league level as they round out their season. Not a lot of faith there. Definitely interested in some Royals bats at a mid-4s implied total. And then Noah Cameron, one of the more talented, more interesting pitchers, or at least, fairly solid as far as innings pitched and some reliability, going up against a underperforming, but again, still dangerous Rangers lineup. A little back and forth there too, but I prefer Noah Cameron. The Brewers and the Cubs. Here's the other wild card of the day. There's a 20-mile-an-hour wind blowing in at Wrigley today. 6.5 total in that game. It's gone down. It was at 7 earlier. Stupid slate. Major impact on the home run upside for both teams. It's Jacob Misiorowski. He hasn't been at peak form. He missed 2 starts and then just an inning and a third. Give up 5 earned runs on 4 hits. Just didn't look right. I'm not entirely sure we get anything more than 5 out of Miz. But he obviously comes with a pretty tremendous ceiling. It's just the Cubs are still very good, even with the wind blowing in. So I don't like to get too excited about that. Vegas is doing its work for us. Going the other way, it's Colin Ray on the mound, who normally we'd probably be targeting with some Brewers bats. If you want to just get to good teams in a bad spot, but probably very low owned for it, and both those teams are high-quality sequencing teams where they're not necessarily reliant on the power to score runs, it's not a crazy idea to take some of both of those teams. Some of both of those pitchers are definitely going to be in play, even with short outings and a bad option in Colin Ray. Just that win does matter. Then we get to Ohtani, again, available just as a pitcher on DraftKings, just as a hitter on FanDuel. Kind of a mess. Tanner Gordon on the mound, just looking like a batting tee for the Rockies with the Dodgers at a 7.47 implied total. Interesting spot in the next one. Nick Martinez on the mound for the Reds. And then, as mentioned before, Yusei Kikuchi at the very top of the pitching slate against the Reds. Don't like it. We've gotten there enough or a lot with Kikuchi this year. He comes with major downside, major asterisk for danger, much like Erod, who we've gotten through with multiple times now. Going back and forth between these two roller coaster lefties is not a fun situation to be in on my side of this show, let me tell you. But he's there. He's on the board. We've gotten there before. He's going to be very important and probably highly owned on this slate. I do think the Reds bats are in play against. And then Martinez looking more like a target for some of those high-quality Angels power bats, 4.84 implied total for them. Giants and the Padres close things out. A sub-4 implied total for the Giants. That is an interesting enough looking spot. It's JP Sears making his second start for the Pods. In the first one, he gave up 5 earned runs, struck out 4. He was just kind of a throw into that trade. He is a pitcher that we've found some success. He's another, roller coaster, fairly low quality lefty. He is not as good as Yusei Kikuchi, probably not as good as Erod. But he does find decent games for DFS from time to time. And it's a gettable Giants team with a low total. I think he's on the board at least. And then for the Giants, it's Landon Roop, yet another pitcher who I don't think is going to give us 5 complete innings here. He was out for a minute, just 3 innings in his return, 5 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Kid's good. He's checking the Padres' power for how long he's going to be in the game. But I'm not sure we get 5 complete innings, and we're probably not getting anything beyond that. Dicey pitching board. Hit the like, subscribe to the channel as we dive in. Get through this pitching slate. It is ugly out there. Yeah, Waldrop's the guy. Absolutely, Gophus. I'm with you. All over Waldrop. I added him to the Dynasty team. He was miraculously, I was talking about this on Monday. He was miraculously available in our Dynasty League where we have like 15-man minor league rosters and a minor league draft. He didn't get taken. I didn't realize he was available. I think he was on somebody's team last year and they let him go ahead of the draft this year or maybe after the draft. But he was there. I nabbed him in with a no-bid waiver wire pickup. People are asleep at the switch in that fab bidding in the Dynasty League to my benefit. Emacs in that league if he's out there. I'm not sure what he's doing. Not paying attention. Headed Bob Seymour. That one's not going quite as well. Bobby's not exactly connecting with baseballs. Yusei Kikuchi, top of the board against the gettable Reds team. 8,500 on DraftKings. It's going to be very popular. Very straightforward as far as what he is. He walks a tightrope. He walks too many hitters. In the past, he's given up way too many home runs. He has wrangled that successfully this year. But he's a total roller coaster. That Reds team does have some good, impressive players. You saw the clip going around of Ellie De La Cruz scoring from first base on a little dying coil to the left yesterday. Ridiculous. The Angels announcer was going nuts about it, and justifiably so. Ellie almost stopped at second base. Like, he slowed to almost the stop and then started running again. Looked like he was putting in like 65% effort, just making like 9-yard strides, and scored, again, from first base on a hit to left field. Dude is good. Ohtani at Coors Field, 7,500. I do think you could throw that dart on this pitching slate, no doubt. That's cheap enough. On DraftKings, I think you can get there. I don't think it comes with ceiling beyond that, maybe a strikeout or so beyond it. But for this slate, that's probably good enough. That's a 5-inning projection. 5 is maybe a little generous. We haven't seen him do it yet. But again, last time out, where is it? The hell is it in here? These are not in the order of the board. They're in game order. Yeah, 4 1/3 the last time out. Faced 19 hitters. Gave up 4 earned runs. Struck out 7. That was at the Angels. Presumably, had that gone better, we would have gotten that full 5. So I think it's in the cards against a Rockies team that could feed him 10 strikeouts. Not on the FanDuel board at 52. That's a hitter price. Rasmussen at 92 at 81 on DraftKings. Seems like a bargain on DK. FanDuel's got that price right. Rasmussen's one hiccup is that they manage those innings. He had a couple deliberately very short starts a few weeks ago. But in his last 3, he's pitched into the 6th, completed the 6th in the last 2, 5 1/3 in the one before those 2. He's given up 1 earned run over those 3 starts. That was against the Dodgers, the Mariners, and the Athletics. 2 of those on the Mariners and the Athletics on the road out west. He's been fantastic. And he is a very talented pitcher who keeps home run balls in the yard by and large. So big impact on the Yankees upside today. That said, they're still very much on the board, as I was saying before. JT Ginn is going to be that wild card. I think 5 innings is in play. Twins are still decent, but there are some Ks for him in that lineup. I think he's an underrated option today. 67 on FanDuel, 58 on DraftKings. Buys you quite a bit. I don't think you even need the quality start there, really. There's so much of a discount by comparison to the other playable options on the FanDuel slate. Not saying he's good. Not saying it's going to work. But it's very, very cheap to find out. Cameron, definitely good enough at 93 at 9,000. Easily in play from there with okay, all right. You like Noah Cameron. Thank you. With a little bit of ceiling on top at those prices. Waldrop, monster spot. Love the upside. If we were sorted by FanDuel, he'd be a couple spots higher. FanDuel picking up a little bit more upside for reasons. 8,700 on DraftKings, 91 on FanDuel. Love the option. It's just every time we've targeted that White Sox team lately, it's been flipped on our heads, but we're going right back there. Miz at Wrigley, just a little bit of a wrinkle around what are the innings going to look like? What's the upside going to look like? But the kid is obviously tremendous with a major strikeout ceiling when things are going right, and the wind is on his side. I just don't know what we're getting beyond these numbers for those prices. That makes it a little bit challenging. Schlittler in play at those prices, fair from the middle of the board against a gettable enough Rays team, but they are showing a lot of power. He's had a little bit of bumps with home runs. He's had some walk problems throughout his run up to the major leagues. Sears, always a roller coaster, 72-65 is definitely worth playing at that price against that low-end Giants team that does have that very low total. Ober is a total gamble, 77-71, the way he's been giving up power this year. I do not love that spot, but he's in play, he projects fine, and we've seen him be a lot better than what he's done this year. Nick Martinez, again, looking more like a target to me for Angels bats. Landon Root probably not getting more than 5, if 5, and 84.79 doesn't really align price-wise for that. Colin Ray at 78.67, he's just not good. I think the Brewers find just sequencing and find 3-4 runs against him anyway, even with the wind and all of that nonsense baked in. So still a low-end option, 78.67. He's fine to throw a few darts at. And he could get you into the 20s FanDuel, into the 12, 15 range on DraftKings on a great day. Martin Perez, wrong pricing, a lot of downside, 5 innings max. Probably not that. Rocker probably not going 5. 82 doesn't work on FanDuel. 68 probably not on DraftKings, especially against that low strikeout, fairly high quality Royals team. And then Tanner Gordon, absolutely not at any price. 4,300 on DraftKings. They dip that below. Usually they don't go below 45 on the pitcher price, right? Is that new? Is it the first time they've done that? Or do they do that? Is that like a reliever price? I don't remember seeing a pitcher price below 45. Anyway, he's not worth it. If you're new, the website is rotoscouts.com. Check it out. Everything is under $1 a day for access to everything behind the paywall. Baseball, you get all these player projections, individual home run model. You get a screenshot version of this exact dashboard that we talk about on these shows with all these stats, with all the projections, the home run model numbers all aligned to the projected roster, to the projections. Updated projections right up through lock and through the last confirmed lineup of the day. We have a top stacks board, power index, home run picks of the day, whatever else I'm forgetting. NFL is starting up in a week and a half, 2 weeks. Ridiculous. It's the 7th, I think, or the 4th is the first Thursday game. That's included for the same under $1 a day. When NHL starts, that's included. When NBA starts, that's included. We'll be doing NBA shows, NFL shows. Looking forward to it. But check out rotoscouts.com. Promo code 5ME. $5 weekly plans through the end of August. Another 10, 11 days on that one. So check that out. That's when you purchase the weekly. It's $5. If you want it the second time, like if you get a weekly today and then you want to renew at a $5 price, you have to cancel it and do a new one. Otherwise, it kicks up to the $6 and change usual price. Just saving you a couple bucks here in advance of what will probably be a better offer for the NFL kickoff. Anyway, let's dive into this thing, gang. Follow the @RotoScouts Twitter handle as well. I don't mention that as enough. Discord is linked for free in the description below the channel. You don't need to be a subscriber. White Sox, Braves. We have lineups. We do. Beautiful. Mike Tauchman up at the top of the White Sox as usual. How good is Mike Tauchman? I mean, guy just goes out there, does his thing. Not at all a spectacular player, not a big power hitter, but just constantly on base, constantly setting the table for his teammates. And I'm just killing time while I put the lineups in there. But there he is, 3,000, 2,900, going up against a rookie pitcher. He's getting on at a 365 clip. He's got a 124 WRC plus. Solid 299 plate appearances out of Tauchman. He's cheap. If you're looking to go to the White Sox, it's a decent option to just pop into the outfield. Keeps the price down, helps you with correlated scoring. Doesn't give you a lot of other options as far as scoring. Every now and then he hits one out, 8 home runs on the season. But just a high-quality player leading into, a couple of rookies, a couple of overperformers, a couple of guys I don't believe in at all. It's the White Sox. Waldrip is the story here, though, as we've been talking about. 87 on DraftKings, 91 on FanDuel. Kid's out to a great start. 2 full starts and a bulk relief. 5 2/3 in that bulk relief appearance, though. He gave up 3 hits in that one earned run. Struck out 4, walked 2. His first 2 full starts, 6 innings in both. 1 earned run combined. Faced the Marlins, faced the Guardians. 6 strikeouts against the Marlins. 1 earned run on 4 hits. 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. 2 hits allowed to the Guardians in Cleveland. And gets a very similar, the Marlins and the Guardians, I think, inarguably better than the White Sox overall. At best, the same. So it should be another great spot. I think he's going to get a little bit popular. The prices are still right, though. 91, they could have gone higher on FanDuel. I would have still been interested. 87, I feel like, is generous on DraftKings. Major spot. In his 19 starts, 91 and 2/3 down in AAA, he was pitching to a 4.42 ERA, a 4.41 xFIP, had a 22.5% strikeout rate against a 12.3% walk. So there is some stuff to clean up there. At a certain point, he will run into a little bit of trouble at the major league level. It could be today. Not saying it's not, but if we're looking around for teams that should not be problematic, the White Sox are still very much on that list. So it shouldn't be today that he runs into too much trouble with this. 8.4% collective walk rate for this team, for example, not necessarily likely to exploit the walks more so than they've been so far at this level. So I like the kid a lot. I like the spot here a lot. Going to be popular, but I think you just kind of ride with it. Contrarian White Sox bats going against him, if they're even contrarian at this point. Again, we're looking at Tauchman for his on base. I don't love Miguel Vargas, 3,000, 2,900. He has hit 13 home runs, but he's slashing 233, 310, 400 overall. 98 WRC plus, doesn't hit the ball fantastically. These are average barrel and hard hit rates. They're up from previous seasons. I'll give him that much. Low strikeout, medium walk this year. He's done a little bit in cutting his strikeout rate. You do have to give him some credit for some of the changes that are apparent here, but it's not like they've resulted in this guy being a monster. He's not priced like it, but he's in no way a priority. He's only a priority once you go to the White Sox. Kyle Teal at 39.27 is an interesting catcher. Lefty bat going up against a young pitcher. Waldrop has been terrific at limiting premium contact in this teeny tiny sample so far. 31.8% hard hits, 89.4 miles an hour of exit velo, just a 2.3% barrel, and he's kept the ball down to just a 9-degree average launch. So throw that into the mix here as well. But Teal, a lefty bat who's been barreling the ball consistently, as have all of those guys. Undeniably. Not that it results in a lot of hard hit. I think that is very noteworthy. A lot of these teams where we see all these, like by comparison, look at the Braves, where everybody is basically a few points higher in the 40s or up into the 50s like they're stars. That's typically what you'll see from that big a stretch of double-digit barrels, but at least these guys are barreling the ball regularly. They've seen a little bit of success for it. Colson Montgomery has certainly been very good since coming up. Lennon Sosa, we already talked about the former secret weapon in this lineup, now just delivering regularly for people who are highly aware of him. I'm sure among White Sox stacks today, he'll be very, very popular. He's only 39. He's 29 on FanDuel, multi-position on both. Love the second base eligibility. Teal in just 169 plate appearances, though, going back to the catcher real quick. 274, 363, 411. That's a great slash line. 369 xWOB under the surface. Crater runs 19% better than average by WRC+. It's been great. Lubov at 44, at 31. At DraftKings price isn't wrong. 31 is correct on FanDuel. 13 home runs, 31 stolen bases. 82 WRC+ on the board. Much more success this year against lefties than righties. But overall, still a very dangerous player that you want in most of your White Sox stacks. Benintendi showing a little bit of power at 6.46 in the home run model. Nobody really cracking through for much, though. A couple guys in the sixes. At 3,500, at 2,900 from the left side, he's in play. Don't love him. 14 home runs, a 176 ISO, highly average as far as the power output on the 10.6% barrel. And he's slashing 229, 295, 405. 9 points below average for run creation. Again, not a good hitter, just a guy who found a little bit of success and looks better than he is. Brooks Baldwin at 28-25, very cheap. 8 home runs, 4 stolen bases. If you're already going to terrible players in this lineup, why not go to a cheaper one? It's a worse spot in the lineup, but I have no issue taking Brooks Baldwin over, say, Andrew Benintendi. A couple of the guys further up, you obviously get a little bit more opportunity, and you do get higher quality players. But that switch is fine. Same thing with Curtis Mead. No issue swapping those bottom 3 guys for one another. If any of them get more popular, just around price, position, you get multi-position out of those guys. Mead, 3 homers, 5 steals, 237, 324, 322, 15 points below average via WRC+. but a little bit of quality, a little bit of minor league pedigree there. Talented kid, multi-tool kid. A lot of strikeouts, not enough walks, but that's true of everybody in the White Sox. Well, with strikeouts outside of Benintendi and Vargas. Martin Perez, I do not think is a playable pitcher here. Or at least not a good option. Apparently hit by pitch numbers have been falling for 5 years per Fangraphs. He got out to 4 innings, faced 17 hitters in his final rehab, and then he made a bulk relief appearance the other day. That was against Detroit. He went 3 1/3, faced 15 hitters, gave up an earned run on 3 hits, struck out 4, walked 2. He threw 60-something pitches in that bulk relief, which was more than he had thrown in the 2 rehab starts. I just don't think there's any shot that we're getting more than 5 innings. And he's just not good. He can find stuff from time to time, but I mean, last year, 4.53 ERA, 4.48 xFIP, 18% strikeouts, 8.3% walks, gave up a fair amount of power, not a deadly bad amount of power, but 3.73% home runs. It's realistic power. Year before that, 3.45. Year before that one, just a 1.34. There's a long memory in the model, so he's having something of an impact on some of the lower end Braves bats. And like it checks Acuna down to 9.29 instead of being over 10. Same thing with Olsen and Ozuna down a little bit as far as the power goes. I think you could realistically expect that there's a little bit more power than might be showing there today for the Braves. But they've been so frustratingly inconsistent throughout the year that I think it's fair to allow it to come through the model. If I could guarantee 5 innings, I would maybe say that Perez is a throwable dart at 73 on DraftKings. I don't think you're getting out to quality start territory, though. 8,200 on FanDuel is a little bit painful price-wise for a low-end starter against a team that's pulling a 5.26 implied total with a bunch of high-quality bats in it. So I'm not going in that direction. Jurickson Profar at the top of the Braves, 44-36. 10 home runs on the board now, 6 stolen bases. Getting difficult to argue with the 214 plate appearances. Been pretty good. 135 WRC plus on the board, a 223 ISO coming off of a good season last year. We know, certain things about why maybe it was good, but seems to be coming through and still establishing himself as a true talent. Once upon a time was one of the top prospects in the game and then was just kind of anonymous for a while and finally surged last year, late bloomer. But it does seem fairly real. So to be fair to him, I do think you can play him. That said, 44-36, we're getting a little bit up there in price, especially that FanDuel price at 36. That is high. Matty Olson just 49-34 to make up for it, though. That is nice and cheap. Getting Matt Olson cheaper than Jurickson Profar on FanDuel is a total joke. That's a great spot. 4,900 on DraftKings, more than fair. Ronald Acuna at 54-42, 14 home runs on the board, a 250 ISO, a 170 WRC plus. Yeah, I know Olson's underperforming. 273, 370, 461, though. That's still a tremendous slash line. 371 xWOB under the surface to justify some of that. The 13.9% barrel, the 54.1% hard hit. He's been not doing things. He's underperforming results, but not performance, if that makes sense. Or not quality, if that makes sense. So we're just getting a discount on Matt Olson. Ozuna is 41-33. He's got 20 home runs. He's gotten on base all year. He's drawn a great walk rate. Still hits the ball very hard. 122 WRC plus, even with the dip from the injuries. Take advantage. Michael Harris, DraftKings still hadn't noticed. 3,400 on FanDuel now. Back to normal Michael Harris territory. 16 home runs, 14 stolen bases. Up to a 91 WRC plus, but I mean, that thing's been climbing like crazy, and who cares really at this point? Like, we are seeing a resurgent Michael Harris. 19.2% strikeouts, just 2.6% walks, coming with an 8.2% barrel, 43% hard hit. That's just so much premium contact that he's been cashing in on like crazy lately. Monster option at 3,400 on DraftKings. That's just dumb. He's going to be very popular in Brave stacks, justifiably so. I think you just take the chalk. He is that good. And you've got some options below him Ozzy Albies at a cheap price, bad as he's been, I do still think is playable, at least for counting stats. 10 home runs, 12 stolen bases in his 536 plate appearances, nowhere near the expected production, but still some DFS scoring in there. 54 runs and 50 ribbies. There's nothing predictive about those, but he has scored some DFS points along the way as a cheap, under-owned second baseman who still doesn't strike out. 15% strikeouts, 8.8% walks. There are some positive attributes, even though he's underperformed his talent all season long and may never come back to life. He was bad last year, too. Sean Murphy maybe slips through a little bit under-owned down there. 16 home runs and 311 plate appearances, a 226 ISO, 14.5% barrels. Monster power bat. He's 3,400 on DraftKings against Martin Perez, the corpse of Martin Perez. Crazy good spot for a catcher. That's a great one-off catcher if he doesn't gain too much popularity. Don't worry about the strikeouts. It comes with a decent walk rate. Nacho at 23, 24, mix and match quality. Hasn't been good so far, but he was good in the minors. Throw him in a bad lefty. You can do worse for a very cheap price. I don't love that he's third base only still. Second base and shortstop eligible on FanDuel. You know we want him at second. Nick Allen's still here for defense, but against such a low-end pitcher, maybe a little bit of a mixer to get different, to get cheap in a Brave stack. Let's say you go, once again, we'll be unfair to Profar and leave him out just because I want to go through this stretch. Right? I want those four, and you see how you can so easily get to under-owned Albies and Sean Murphy because everybody's going to want those four. And, very clearly. And, yeah, they'll be the next natural couple guys, but don't forget Profar's up here. So one of these three is going to come up lower owned than he ought to be individually. And I think there's an argument to be made that all three of those guys probably do come up a little bit lighter than what their just pure ownership number should be if you discount popularity and click bias as people put lineups together. Less so for the bottom guys. These guys are a little bit further off the board. Braves bats. Hurston Waldrop. White Sox bats. I'm not taking Martin Perez. Not at those prices. Monty said, if you've been taking Joker's plays when he barks, you're doing well this season. Noah Cameron was the Joker pick of the day. Cubs have top 5 winning percentage in baseball, second behind only the Brewers in run differential. Yeah, Cubs are good. Yeah, Tucker's been sitting out, but they're still very good. It's just a deep, talented lineup, up and down. New York Yankees, another one in Tampa. This is only a 2-game series, if I'm not mistaken. Going up against Drew Rasmussen, totally different situation than it was yesterday. Yankees are still the Yankees. They can sequence, they can hit for power, but Rasmussen is very good. Just a different animal on the mound. Monster number by Stuff Plus, just to start things out. 2.42% home runs that comes on a limited 5.6% barrel rate in his 24 starts. 9.1 degree average launch. He allows a little bit of premium contact, a little bit of exit velo, little hard hit in there. But again, he is one of these guys that cuts the ball down. Last year, just 28 and 2/3, but a 6.6 degree average launch. Didn't allow a barrel, didn't allow a home run in that tiny sample. Year before that, just 44 and 2/3, but a 1.13% home run that came on similarly 4.2% barrels, 9 degree average launch. Year before that, in a more complete sample, 28 starts, 146 innings, 2.23% home runs, 6.6% barrel, 10.1 degree average launch, a little bit higher, but demonstrably good at keeping the ball in the yard. You can see what it's doing to the Yankees' power numbers. Remember yesterday, 5 of these guys were above the magic number. 4 of them hit home runs. Multiple guys hit 2 home runs. Even Giancarlo, 6.06. Trent Grisham up in the top spot at 6.23. There's still power showing. Those guys do still have tremendous opportunity to hit home runs. And like I said earlier, Drew Rasmussen, the one downside with him is not tremendous depth of start. We might get 6, but we're probably not getting into the 7th unless he's just breezing through this lineup. And in that case, you're dead in the water with the Yankees anyway. But you do have a little shot at getting to some bullpen arms with some of the Yankees' power. So that keeps them alive on the board. The 417 implied total, just the quality for on base that this team has in sequencing, like I was saying, definitely keeps them on the board. But very interested in Rasmussen. I like that 22.5% strikeout rate, 9.4% swinging with that ability to keep the ball down. He also doesn't walk anybody. 5.5% walk rate, a sub 1 whip is tremendous. That's exactly how you beat this team. You just don't give them free opportunities. So great spot for Rasmussen. Projects out well, 92-81 across sites. Maybe a little bit lighter of a ceiling than the absolute ceiling for some other guys on the board, but one of the better pitchers overall talent-wise, full stop. Schlittler at 77 at 8,000 on the FanDuel slate. Comes with some obvious flaws so far. He's a developing young starter with very good stuff. You can see his stuff plus number nearly 20 points above average, out-dueling Drew Rasmussen in that department. But it comes with a lot of walk, 10.8% walk. He's found his strikeouts at 23.1, but that needs to be significantly higher against that walk rate. 9.9% swinging strike, just a 25.7% CSW. He's not really fooling a lot of hitters on some of his stuff. Those numbers need to push up as well. And when hitters are making contact, they're making very aggressive contact. 10.6% barrels, 41.2% hard hit, 90.3 miles an hour of exit velo. Every one of those is above our emergency threshold. 4.62% home runs is entirely believable right now. But so is 3.94 ERA with a 4.25 xFIP. Like, he is justifiably talented and in play here. 77, not a bad price. 8,000, not a bad price. Projects competitively with a guy like Rasmussen on the other side. It's just he also comes with the Aaron Boone of it, where even with some more generous offerings to some of his starters recently, Schlittler has still, outside of his first outing, not pitched in the 6th inning. It's been 3 straight of just 5 and thank you very much, even though he's been pitching well. And just given the Yankees' approach, given that bolstered bullpen, I think that's going to be the case. Said that about Will Warren, and we saw Warren just, blaze a trail the other day and get out into the 7th inning. Some of the higher end, the Max Frieds, the Rodons of the world, you would expect 6 plus. But with the rookie here, I think if we get through 5 okay, I would expect to see some bullpen arms pretty quick. Maybe you get into the 6th. So a little bit of a cut line on Schlittler's upside as well, but fairly priced for it. Yankees bats, that lineup is still not confirmed. One wild card here in the Yankees lineup, right to start, is Giancarlo Stanton. I actually don't think is going to be in the lineup today. I left him in just because it's such a big bat that I wanted the presence to be there. But 2 days in a row in the outfield for Stanton feels unlikely. They were not planning on doing that. What I will say does work to his advantage is that right field in this ballpark is right field in Yankee Stadium. It's the same thing. So he knows how to play there. Yeah, still no Yankees lineup. So be prepared to not have Giancarlo Stanton in this Yankees lineup, which would be another big hit as far as their upside. He'd be there as a pinch hitter, but you're obviously not looking in that direction DFS-wise if that's the case. But Trent Grisham in the leadoff spot, that's where I would expect to find him. Tremendous table setter at 350 on base, a 125 WRC plus. Comes with great contact and a little bit of power output this year. A lot of walks, not limited strikeouts. He's been fantastic, and 42.31 are very, very fair prices. Just to grab him, bolt him onto Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger as a 3-man and roll with that off the top. Him and Aaron Judge work as a great little 2-man tandem. Same thing with Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger going the other direction. 40 home runs now for Judge, 333, 447, 691, 357 ISO. People might give the MVP to Cal Raleigh. We'll see where that goes. But Judge is creating runs 101% better than the average player to be a WRC+. So there is that factor to consider. He's just ridiculous. 65-47. Absolutely could take Drew Rasmussen out of the park. The only Yankee above the magic number in the home run model. Belly at 49-35, up to 24 homers after his big night last night. Stanton up to 14 after his big night in only 166 plate appearances. Remember Giancarlo Stanton if he's in the lineup. You absolutely want him. He is in peak form right now. 313 ISO. Ridiculous. 228 ISO on the board for Belly. Ben Rice comes in with a 236. He's also got an underlying 412 xWOBA. Draws a ton of walks. Doesn't really strike out problematically. 20.2% strikeout rate. crushes baseballs. Look at his numbers compared to Stanton in terms of the barrels and the hard hits. More batted ball events for Ben Rice. Those are not dissimilar. Kid can hit, and he's a discerning hitter up there. Up and down performance for sure. 239, 335, 476 with his power, though. Dynamite. Goldie at 35-28. Potentially further up the lineup today, depending on what they roll out. Also potentially not in the lineup today. Another guy, he's been banged up lately, so they give him a few days off around the edges. He's also just kind of slipped as far as the performance goes overall. Still a solid slash line over 445, but he's definitely coming down the other side of the mountain as far as the career goes. That said, the price at 35, at 28 from anywhere in this lineup, that is still a very good option. So you're drawing against a great pitcher when you're taking Yankees, but they'll be under-owned even, for their quality. It's a 9-man lineup. Jazz Chisholm, 5,000, 3,300, or 3,800, 22 home runs, 21 stolen bases. Another guy who got on the board for a home run last night. Monster 5-category player. Just tremendous, tremendous option. Anthony Volpe, 37, 3,000. 18 home runs, 15 stolen bases. Great for counting stats. Not at all reliable. Not what I would necessarily call a high-quality shortstop in the baseball sense. But 37 for DFS purposes, that's great. 3,000, that works. McMahon at 32-29, another player. 17 home runs on the board for him. A guy we've seen go over 20 home runs. He's carrying on an 11.9% barrel and a 50% hard hit from the left side in this ballpark. Presumably going to be in the lineup today. He was out yesterday. They've been working Jose Caballero into this lineup a lot. We might see Caballero just flat out play right field today in that Giancarlo Stanton place. He's interesting if he gets into the lineup. Solid hit tool. He's been getting on base. He's been very involved as far as his ability to steal bases. Revenge spot. He also went deep twice, right? He hit 2 home runs last night too, right? Then he hit his second one late. I think he did. You're not looking to Jose Caballero for power, but every now and then, revenge game came last night. We'll see if he's in the lineup at all today, but another playable piece if he is. On the Rays side, 442 implied total for them. Again, they're definitely on the board. Look at those power numbers in the middle of the lineup. Tremendous upside through Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lau, Junior Caminero, Josh Lowe, and then playable pieces around the edges, at least with Ha-Seong Kim below those guys at 34-26 in the middle infield, and then Chandler Simpson for sure in the outfield, but on DraftKings I'll know it, he's back up to 4,900. Kid's dynamite. Over 300 plate appearances, he's stolen 34 bases, he's slashing 301, 337, 351. He's got a fantastic hit tool. But he really only succeeds via BABIP. He does not draw walks. So that on base is entirely created by putting the ball in play and beating the throw to first base, or obviously collecting a base hit into the outfield. Doesn't strike out, just 9.3% strikeouts. Doesn't hit the ball hard, 16% hard hit rate. So again, little flares into the outfield is his game. But once he gets to first, monster upside to give you stolen base bonus. Upside for correlated scoring, of course. Even with that, though, just a 93 WRC plus, 7 points below average WRC plus over the 300 plate appearances. There's some good, there's some bad. I do not think he should be 4,900. 29 is perfectly fine on FanDuel. Much better mixer over there. Yandy hits the ball very hard, 51.6% hard hit. He's got 20 home runs on the board. Another tremendous season as far as the slash line, the WRC plus. 3 guys in a row at a 121 WRC plus is not bad when you're a lower end team like the Rays. They're always frisky, especially for DFS. Brendan Lau, 5,400, 3,200, going to be immensely popular from the left side against this pitcher. 18.77 in the home run model to justify the ownership and justify Brendan Lau's the home run pick of the day. I couldn't resist. Junior Caminero, 19.24. I could have gone in Junior's direction, but that seems almost like cheating with his 35 home runs on the board this year, a 268 ISO. I tend not to pick Aaron Judge. I don't think I've used him as the main pick. Usually I'll give myself once a year to take Aaron Judge as the main overall pick. I forget if I did already. But Junior's been absolutely fantastic. 55-37, entirely worthwhile. Monster opportunity for power against Cam Schlittler here. Again, Schlittler, talented as he might be, giving up too much contact and too much premium contact. Those strikeouts aren't really coming through at that rate. 23.1 is a little above average. Josh Lowe at 42 at 29. Mediocre season out of him, but we know he's a lot better than this. Can definitely provide counting stats on any given slate. Still gives you a little bit of hard hit, medium strikeout, medium walk. He's not been good this year, but he's been very good in previous seasons. He's gotten cheap, very usable from the middle of the lineup. Same thing is true about Asung Kim, 3,400, 2,600. He is much better than his 214, 293, 21 line would show. Hopefully he goes a little bit underowned by the public because of that. Remember how good he was a couple seasons ago. Hunter Fiducia at 22, at 21, 148, 281, 222. Not a great start over 32 plate appearances. At least he's barreled the ball 10.5% of the time. If you're just looking for a little sleeper catcher from the left side of the plate down here who maybe gets a hold of one, it's not completely crazy to go in that direction just to cheapen things up a little bit. Not a very appealing play. Jake Mangum, just a quad A player down to 277, 313, 343. Does have some positive attributes, though. I mean, he's stealing bases, 19 stolen bases is not bad. He's hit for average throughout the season, but it's been coming down all season because he doesn't hit the ball hard. Just another put the ball in play guy. But he is low strikeout. He's fairly low walk, so you get a lot of opportunities at contact, at batted ball events. That does lead to his coming up as far as being able to drive runs in or occasionally score runs, depending on what he's doing up there. So there are a few things that you can point to as far as playability with Jake Mangum. But the guy who's really interesting down the bottom of the lineup is the guy with the 9.90 in the home run model. I almost made him the home run pick of the day, but I wasn't 100% sure he would be in the lineup. And it's also not great at the 9 spot. But Bob Seymour, the first Bob in baseball in 15 years. 2,200 on DraftKings, 2,100 on FanDuel. One of 3 Seymours in baseball this year, after like 100+ year gap since the last one. But this one's the interesting one. It's Bob, Ian, and Carson Seymour. All 3 debuted this year. In 443 plate appearances in AAA this season, Bob Seymour has 30 home runs and a 290 ISO, 263, 327, 553. In 510 minor league plate appearances split between AA and AAA last year, 28 home runs, a 242 ISO. The kid is a masher. He's also a ludicrously high strikeout guy. He has been struggling so far in the show. In the AAA season so far this year, 25.7% strikeouts, 8.6% walks, manageable, 30.69% the year before in that split season of minor league. So far in the show, 13 plate appearances, 46.2% strikeouts, 7.7% walk. Obviously, it's a tiny, tiny sample. That amounts to 6 strikeouts in 13 plate appearances, though. He's got he's got a single on the board, but that's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for that titanic power to come through. The kid just looks like a physical hitter if you take a look at him. Schlittler could easily come away with 2 strikeouts against Bob Seymour at the bottom of the lineup, but there is a lot of upside for a low-owned, cheap power shot from the bottom there. First base totally works. You do have to sacrifice Yandy Diaz for it on DraftKings, though. So there's a little bit of back and forth there. First base on util kind of works for me on the FanDuel slate. I might put that together for a lineup. 4 corners for sure. Which direction, though? Drew Rasmussen. Rays bats. Yankees bats, Cam Schlittler. I just got a feeling the Rays are going to get a little bit on the board here against Cam. Wouldn't stun me if it goes the other way, though. The kid is good. A's Twins. A's lineup is in. A's are showing a lot of power up at the top of the board against Bailey Ober's ugly home run number. I'm going to take one last look, see if we get that Yankees lineup in the interim. Somebody let me know. Yeah, let me know when that Yankees lineup comes out. We're going to need to swing back to that one. There's too many ins and outs with that one right now. Again, I don't really expect Stanton there. But again, 4-man monster power show at the top of the lineup. You could throw in some Lawrence Butler here. You got a couple reasonable options down there for Pop. Really interesting looking A's lineup against Bailey Ober. 108 and a third this year, striking out just 18.3%. He's not walking anybody as a saving grace, but he's pitching to a 4.85 xFIP under a 5.15 ERA. Still a 1.35 whip despite just that 5.1% walk. That's how bad things have gone as far as BABIP. Does still have the ability to miss bats. 11.3% swinging strikes is not bad, but he's not putting anybody away. And look at the premium contact and power. 5.11% home runs. He's terrible. That's one of the worst marks among regular starters, if not the worst. 10.7% barrels allowed. No wonder. 23.3 degree average launch. That's extreme fly ball territory. Some of the home runs just happenstance on, big fly balls, depending on ballpark and, weather and so forth. So maybe that can be checked down to like 4.75 realistically if you just want to take a little slice off it, but that's still crazy high. 39.3% hard hit, 89.4 miles an hour of exit velo. Both of those slightly below the threshold, but still very high numbers. Crazy targetable for Bailey Ober. I will say that on the right day, Bailey Ober could come out, stun the world, throwback performance, and be quite good. Last time out was okay. It was against Detroit, just 3 earned in 5 1/3, struck out 4. Not a great performance, but viable. 6 innings to start before that, a 1-run ball, 4 hits, 4 strikeouts, and a walk against KC. Not bad. Went 7 innings back on the 23rd of June, prior to taking most of July off. 7 innings in that one, but he gave up 7 earned runs on 7 hits and struck out 7. Ugly game. That started a stretch of multiple games where he gave up earned runs, took a break, came back, gave up earned runs. 4 earned runs, 4 strikeouts in 5 innings in his return start against Cleveland. Just hasn't been good this season. It's been problematic. Even when he's been okay, getting through 6, comes with 4 strikeouts. He's appropriately priced for that at 71, 77 is not a bad price on FanDuel. There's just so much downside for power, and the A's are so good at exploiting power. It's really challenging to consider Bailey Ober here. And then we get Mr. Discount, 58.67, JT Ginn. 5.04 ERA, but a 3.45 xFIP. 25.7% strikeouts, a manageable 7.6% walk. Comes with an 11% swinging strike, 29.3. These are good numbers. Let's put too many guys on base via, but it's not really via walks. It's more via BABIP. .298 batting average on balls in play against this year. That said, .300 batting average on balls in play through multiple stops in the minors. I definitely think he's gettable, and you can see the power that's showing for the Twins across several of these guys. We've got 3 guys in the 9s. We've got Buxton at the top of the board in a 16, and a couple guys in the mid, in the 6s. So even with some pieces taken out of this lineup, they're still dangerous. There's still quality left-handed power in this lineup. You got a frisky James Outman at the dead min price on DraftKings is very, very interesting down there. So reasons to consider both sides of this, but I can see a path for JT Ginn. That said, in 51 1/3, he's given up an 11% barrel rate, 47.4% hard hits, 88.9 miles an hour of exit velo, and a 5.49% home run that is worse than Bailey Ober's number on the other side. So you can see where the power is coming from. I just think we're at such an extreme discount by comparison to anybody else with realistic upside for even pitching 5 innings, let alone finding some strikeout along the way, that he's in play. How popular is he? Let me reload this. Not at all popular. He is sub 5% popularity on DraftKings per these ownership projections. Probably even lower on FanDuel. I do have concern that we get, maybe not even 5, even if things are going all right. It was actually drawing a little bit of ownership on FanDuel. That's weird. I would have thought it would have been the other way around. Just under 10% on the FanDuel slate for the discount pitcher. Last time out, just 2 innings. Gave up 5 earned runs to illustrate the downside. Faced 14 hitters, 6 hits allowed, 6 runs total, 5 of them earned. 3 strikeouts and a walk, allowed a home run. Game before that, this is what we're looking for. 5 innings. He did give up 3 earned runs, but it came on only 3 hits, and 2 of those were home runs. So, I mean, you managed to avoid the long ball, and you're in business because he struck out 9 in that game. That was against the Orioles in Baltimore. 4 earned runs over 4 1/3 to the Diamondbacks. Bumpy 1, only 2 strikeouts and 5 walks. There's your problem. But against Houston in Houston on July 27th, 6 innings, faced 21 Astros, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, no walk, no runs. A 1-run game over 5 innings, faced 19 Rangers at Texas the start before that. 5 hits, 1 run. It was a solo homer. Just 2 strikeouts in that one. The K's can come and go. This is a Twins team that can feed them. So it's not comfy, but this is a day where Yusei Kikuchi is at the top of the board. A's bats, monsters, 59-41 for Kurtz. Yeah, easy option, very expensive, but easy option. 357, just absolutely tremendous plate appearances. I do not remember a rookie coming out of the gate quite like this. 25 home runs, a 332 ISO, a 181 WRC plus to lead this team by a wide margin. He's coming out of the gate. He's been one of the best players in baseball since he's debuted. Shea Langeliers at 56-36. Tremendous strides all season. Up to 27 home runs now. 280 ISO. Monster for power. Limiting strikeouts this year. Keep a walk up where it belongs. Monster barrels out of all these guys. Hard hits out of all these guys. Again, look at how these barrels and hard hits align. That's where you want to be. Brent Rooker, 14.1, 46.1. Tyler Soderstrom, 12-1, 49-4. 25 home runs, 22 home runs for those guys. Take your pick. Everybody's on the board for power up there. Any combination of those guys or all of those guys if you can figure out how to pay for it. Lawrence Butler at 4,000, underperforming the talent on the season, but still 17 homers, 17 steals. We're going to 2020 before September's over. Most likely. It's not been a bad year. It's just been a down year for him. 96 WRC plus kind of shows that. The 307 XWOB is not really encouraging, but he's a very talented player. Darrell Arnaiz, 3,300, 2,800. Cheap filler at shortstop. Third base eligibility on FanDuel. Probably prefer him at short. 2 home runs, 262, 351, 426. He's been interesting over 74 plate appearances. Price hasn't moved. JJ Bleday hasn't really been good, but he has hit 10 homers in 276 chances. Every now and then he can get a hold of one from the left side. Brett Harris at 24-22. Solid 17 plate appearances so far. A little bit of pedigree there. And then Luis Urias has a little pop in that bat from time to time. 8 cheap home runs on the season. Not a good option, but filler doesn't really strike out at 13.3%, 9.3% walk this year. Those numbers are way, way down by comparison to previous years, though. So you're just taking a cheap wild card down at the bottom of the lineup. Byron Buxton at 57 at 38, an easy go-to option. He's a superstar. Anytime he's in their lineup, he's one of the best hitters in the game. 25 home runs, 18 stolen bases, and 398 plate appearances, a 140 WRC plus, 16.8% barrels, and 54% hard hits. Going up against a pitcher like JT Jane who gives up an 11% barrel. Again, I know I was selling the positive attributes, but let's focus on the downside for a moment. Even though it is on a 7.8 degree average launch, when he misses bad. So there's a lot of home run downside. There's a lot of home run upside showing for Buxton. Trevor Larnach, 35-28, 16 home runs on the board for him, a 169 ISO. He's been fine. Mid-board type premium contact. Same goes for Brooks Lee at 6.4% barrels, 40.1% hard hits. He's found 13 home runs for that. He's cashing that ticket a little bit. Needs to find more consistency. He's low strikeout, low walk, though, so you get a decent amount of decent contact. Switch hitter. Keishel at 46-33, the second most expensive player in this lineup now. Fantastic 81 plate appearances at 338, 425.07, a 162 WRC plus. Cody Clemens has a ton of power. Strikes out a fair amount, but draws his walks, 22.7 and 7.8. Not at all problematic. Interesting bat at worst, 8.93 in the home run model, 4th on the team. 4 position eligible for only 27 on FanDuel, first in outfield at 31 on DraftKings. What's not to like? 13 home runs and 269 chances, an 11.5% barrel, a 50.8% hard hit, a 229 ISO. A player like that, when he's that cheap, it doesn't really matter that he's not consistent. Right? We're just you're taking the cheap price and you do it over and over again. And when it pops, it drives the winning as long as you're consistent about taking those plays. Ryan Jeffers at 33.20. Yes, of course, we'd like to have him be consistent. Ryan Jeffers at 33.28 is a very playable catcher on the DraftKings slate. Less necessary to FanDuel, but very playable over there as well. Having a good season at 265, 351, 407, creating runs 14% better than average. Wallner's got a ton of thunder from the left side. He's only 36.29. 16 home runs on the board at 268 ISO in just 294 plate appearances. Comes on 14.5% barrels, 47% hard hits. That's entirely within expectations for him. That is just a good lefty power bat that has gotten super cheap. Another guy strikes out a ton, but also draws a lot of walks, and he's cut strikeout rate by about 7 points year over year. So noteworthy strides, 9.01 on the home run model. Then we get to James Outman, who is on this team now. Let's not forget the interesting contributions from James Outman just 2 years ago. 567 plate appearances with the Dodgers, 23 homers, 16 stolen bases, created runs 18% better than average over that stretch, had a 188 ISO, 248, 353, 437 season. It didn't hit for average all that much, but was getting on base like crazy that year. Only 156 chances the next year, had a bad season when he was available in and out of the lineup. Just 52 plate appearances so far this year, played his way out of Los Angeles, but at the dead min price against this pitcher from the left side, that is a crazy interesting bat at the bottom of the lineup, 9.39 in the home run model. You want to aggressively get to James Outman in your twin stacks. Honestly, that is a reason to consider twins. So is the 468 total, all the home run upside they're showing, but just him being that cheap at the bottom of that lineup is a good reason to consider some twins. And again, that's acknowledging how bad he's been this year. Where's there? This is FanDuel. He's very cheap on FanDuel as well, but DraftKings at the min is crazy. Come on. RG, load that ownership. He's drawn a little bit, but single digits. That's a really interesting. Ryan Fitzgerald at 31, 2000. He's dead min on FanDuel. Less interesting over those 12 plate appearances. In the minors this year, 245 plate appearances, 7 home runs, a decent but not great slash line. Last year, 431 plate appearances, 14 homers, 12 with 11 stolen bases the year before. He's okay, but not overly appealing. Fits at the bottom there. But yeah, Outman at those mid-board ownership numbers in play. So we want to go 1, 2 outfield. Clemens at first. And then I would honestly just go Keishel Buxton is super straightforward. So I'm filling all 3 outfield spots, first base, second base with quality, and that is exactly $3,800 a person. And you're getting Buxton, Keishel, Clemens, Wallner, James Outman. That is a great stack to throw at JT Ginn. Considering that, Twins bats, A's bats, I don't know if that's fair. I think it ranks the other way on the stacks board, actually. A's bats, Twins bats is probably correct, but both very, very much in play. And then both pitchers are dart throws, I would say. But JT Ginn's pricing being so dissimilar from everybody else who's usable is interesting. The strikeout upside is interesting. So I'm going to say JT Ginn over Bailey Ober, but both offenses over the pitchers. Taking our sweet time with this one again. Rangers lineup's got to be in by now. No. Yanks lineup came in, though. No Stanton. Different looking lineup, though. Let me throw that on the board real quick. We won't take too much time with it. So just going back in time, Grisham intact in the leadoff spot. Judge drops down a spot, but Rice moves into the 2-hole. That's a great upgrade for Ben Rice. You're looking for some of that left-handed power from him, but he's also an aggressively good table setter, 335 on base. So just another tremendous option for walks and for on base to put ahead of Aaron Judge. But it comes with the asterisk that Drew Rasmussen doesn't really walk that many hitters. So There's upside, there's downside for the young hitter moving up there. Belly, Jazz moves up the lineup to the 5 spot. That adds a little appeal to Jazz, but he was already a go-to option in this lineup. You get Jason Dominguez in the starting lineup, 35-29, 9 home runs, 20 stolen bases, a 330 on base, a 102 WRC plus. Kid's been very good. He's got a 49.2% hard hit rate this season. Just has not found the barrel quite as much this year, but it's got his price way, way down for an entirely usable player who does get on base, who does do interesting things as far as DFS scoring. McMahon and Volpe are intact, and then Austin Wells in the lineup. Hard-hitting catcher, 9.2% barrels, 45% hard hits on the season, 15 homers, comes with a 199 ISO, has slipped in quality as far as run creation and consistency there. Their best catcher, though, who does come with a ton of power upside. Very usable DFS piece, especially if people start putting Ben Rice in at catcher for the 44 as an alternative at 32. Austin Wells comes with almost as much power upside. He's just not as good an overall hitter as Ben Rice. Rangers lineup, as far as I know, not yet in. Oh, thanks, Larry. Larry had dropped it in. Luke who? Larry. Keishel? Was it low? That is a little low. What did he do for power? Let's see. 15 homers in 464 plate appearances last year in the minors. Had a 179 ISO. Barreling the ball. 8.3, but not a great hard hit rate. It is a short sample. It might be a little short. Yeah, it's still a little short on the back end here. I can give him a little bit more on the back end. He plows through it anyway, but yeah, it's. We can find a little bit more home run there, probably. Thanks for pointing that out, Larry. I'll get that into the next update. It won't be dramatic, but he should be getting a little bit more there, especially in that spot in the lineup. Now moving forward. Need to pick up the pace, which will be easy with a lot of bad pitching. Kumar Rocker, I think at most going 5, and I don't think we're likely for 5. As mentioned at the beginning of the show, 5 2/3 in the minors in his one minor league start after they sent him down on the 31st. Had made a couple short starts in the show, gave up a few runs along the way, 4 innings, 3 earned runs, struck out 5, walked 3 against the Braves, 3 earned runs on 6 hits, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 home runs allowed to the Mariners, and then got sent down. Faced the Rockies, AAA team. That's a PCL opportunity, though, so you can kind of ignore the runs. Went 5 2/3, gave up 5 earned runs on 9 hits, struck out 4, but that was on the 7th, and it's the 20th today. So I'm not sure we're going to be fully stretched out. I think they're just looking to give him a handful of innings here against some major league hitting. It's not a good spot anyway. Even if we were guaranteed 5 innings here, I don't really think there's all that much on the bone for Kumar Rocker. 6,800, 8,200, maybe as a dart on DraftKings. I don't think I would touch that FanDuel price, though. And he hasn't been good when he's been here. Over 14 starts, 19.5% strikeouts, too many walks, a 5.74 ERA. 4.10 xFIP is good. He's got talent, undeniably, but hasn't put it together at the major league level in any consistent form. Look at the barrel rate. Look at the hard hits, the exit velo. All of those are dramatically above our threshold. They come on an 8.3 degree average launch. That's the only thing keeping them below 4%, but that is still an aggressively high home run rate. Very interested in Royals bats on the other side. They're showing a lot of quality. One of the higher ranked overall stacks on the board, 4.48 in the implied total. They've got Noah Cameron on the bump, as mentioned. That was Joker's pick of the day. Cameron comes in at 19.7% strikeouts, a 2.47 ERA, which is tremendous, but it's defied by that 4.17 xFIP. That's the real number. That would be the expectation, would be 4 runs, which is what is showing as the implied total for the opponent. So something in line with that expectation, but on this board for those prices, that's kind of in play. He does come with a little bit of additional upside for finding some strikeouts along the way. And he comes with a lot of upside just for pitching deep into ball games, giving you the shot at the quality start basically every time out on FanDuel. It's back to pitching into the 6 1/3, 5 2/3, 5 1/3 in his last start. 6 hits in each of those games. 4 runs against over 6 1/3 at Toronto. Shut out the Twins over 5 2/3, 6 hits, 4 strikeouts. 5 1/3, 1 run ball, 6 hits against the White Sox. Struck out just 2 in that one. The strikeouts have taken a little bit of a dip over those 3 starts. Prior to that, he had a stretch of 6, 7, 8 strikeout games. But this stretch has been 2 last time against the White Sox, 4 against the Twins, just 1 against the Blue Jays. Only the Blue Jays there are really a good team as far as limiting Ks. But the Rangers can definitely push some in his direction, and he's got the talent to find him. 11.2% swinging strike rate on the season, just allowing a 4.9% barrel. Excellent at inducing weak and medium contact so far. Has an impact on the home run numbers for the Rangers on the other side here. I do think there's some argument to be made for going against the popularity that I'm sure Cameron's going to draw on this slate by taking some of the lower or some of the underperforming but still high quality Rangers bats. But between the two things, I think Cameron's very, very realistic here. If you're going Rangers, Marcus Semien, if he's in the leadoff spot against the lefty, yeah, get back to his old territory. 3,600, 2,900, still cheap. 15 home runs, 11 steals. He's been bad all year. 87 WRC plus, but he has pushed the xWOB up to 325. Some interesting things going on under the surface. He's still very playable at second base, especially if he moves into the leadoff spot. Wyatt Langford at 41 at 3,000, 17 homers, 16 steals, one of their better hitters. Very, very cheap for a kid with a 13.2% barrel, 46.9% hard hit on the season. Corey Seager's a star. He's obvious. He's also just gotten cheap, though. 45, 32. He's at 19 homers. He still had a good season. If you just take the name off of the line over here and pretend it's a lot of other players, that's a monster contact in his batted ball events. Sub 20% strikeouts. Nearly a 13% walk rate. 19 homers, a 264, 367, 477 slash line, a 213 ISO, a 132 WRC plus. If you just didn't know who that was, you'd be like, wow, that guy's a star. And he's got a 408 xWOB underneath all that to show the underperformance. Absolutely phenomenal at 45, at 32. Even lefty, not going to sweat that at all on that spot. Josh Young, 33, 26, has 11 home runs now, 374 mediocre plate appearances, but at least the power showing up a little bit. 7.8% barrel, 43.5% hard hits. Just an 85 WRC plus, just a 134 ISO. It hasn't been consistent power, but at least you're getting a little bit of home run upside there. Higgy, 2,900, 2,600. If he's in the heart of the lineup, gets interesting. 8.6% barrel, 41.7% hard hit, starting to normalize toward his typical high-quality barrel numbers, up to 8 home runs now. 161 ISO, no consistency at all there, but an interesting bat if he's in the heart of the lineup, especially where you have to play catchers at just 2,900. Ezekiel Duran, just first base eligible on DraftKings, doesn't really work. He's got 4 position eligibility like usual on FanDuel. 2,200, he's been a capable guy over the years. That said, pretty tragic 124 plate appearances this year. Josh Smith, always capable. Lefty, not great for him, but moving down the lineup for it, 39-27. At worst, a mix and match option if he's in the lineup, which he probably will be. Cody Freeman, a very cheap option at third on both sites. 17 pretty bad plate appearances so far. He did come through the one time I had him. That was, I think, the only time he's come through at all. Jonah Heim is a cheap catcher option. He's hit 9 home runs this year. He's pretty mediocre. On the Royals side, Yaz, 38, 28 across sites, 13 home runs, a very solid on-base percentage. Since we're looking for some sequencing upside against Kumar Rocker here, and then some power to come through from down here in the lineup where Sal Perez has returned, I love the option to get Yaz on base at a cheap price and have him score 2 or 3 runs when these guys come through behind him, because there's a very high probability of that. Kumar Rocker has just been a target basically all season. So take advantage with Yaz. It helps you average down the price. Bobby Witt's a superstar at 58-39, 18 homers, 32 steals, rounding into form as far as that overall line, a 206 ISO, a 127 WRC plus. Vinny, 24 home runs this year, a 199 ISO, a 110 WRC plus, just doing his thing out there with consistency. Super low strikeout, medium walk this year, a lot of hard hits, a lot of batted ball events that create fantasy points. Michael Garcia at 48, 3,000 with 3 position eligibility for that price on FanDuel was tremendous. 12 home runs, 22 steals, creating runs 28% better than average, hitting the ball hard, getting involved all the time with just a 13% strikeout and 8.8% walk. A great opportunity on FanDuel at price. Very much in play, a tremendous asset, and one of the high priority bats from this team at 48 on DraftKings. Just a bit of a price difference. Sal Perez at 41, 29, back in the lineup after being out for 2 days with an illness. 22 home runs, 205 ISO, been mashing all season. Finally started to see the results the last month and a half or so as far as the power output goes. Frazier, India, Rave, Isbell, a lot of mix and match quality through those guys. India remains probably the most talented guy there. Hasn't been that great this season. 8 home runs. You have 5 with 8 home runs in 350 better plate appearances from Adam Frazier. A lot more back and forth between those two. John Rave, Kyle Isbell just kind of filler down the bottom of the lineup. But Isbell's also technically by at least a portion of the slash line been more interesting than Jonathan India this year. So it depends what you need at what price in what position. But just back and forth down the bottom of the lineup. Where you want to live is up in the top here. Royals bats, Noah Cameron. Rangers bats, I really don't think Kumar Rocker's in play. All right. This game, major impact to the bats. A lot of it just coming out of that low total. The wind is apparently blowing in at about 20 miles an hour in Wrigley. We know what kind of an impact that has. I don't want to overstate it. Like I said yesterday, I don't like playing that game. It's already taken care of. You see the 3.20 implied total for the Cubs, 3.37 on the other side. It's a 6.5 run game. So taken care of. Benefit to pitching for sure, but 6,700, 7,800 for Colin Ray still doesn't really project well. He's got a 17.6% strikeout rate, a 6.5% walk rate, 3.99 ERA against a 4.48 xFIP, gives up a lot of premium contact. He's over the line in all of our premium contact thresholds, right? 1, 2, 3, right there. Pretty lucky to be at just 3.73% home runs, but that is a high number. Even with all this working against him, Christian Yelich, 9.31 in the home run model, Andrew Vaughn at 7.92. There's a little bit of power showing for the Brewers still. And they're just a high-quality sequencing team. This team scores a tremendous number of runs. They're just very, very good. So just because the wind's blowing in doesn't mean they can't come away with base hit after base hit, draw their walks, get on base, and create havoc out there against a low-end pitcher. So if they get under owned for that spot because of the low total, the wind blowing in, I think that's an opportunity as just a contrarian play to work in around the edges a few times. Same thing with the Cubs going the other way. Even with Miz on the mound, he's got a 35.7% strikeout rate over his 34 2/3 in 8 starts, but a 3.89 ERA against his 3.02 xFIP, 12.1% walk rate. There are some things to quibble with here. Hasn't allowed much premium contact, but a little bit of home run output so far. Not bad by any means. 14.3% swinging strike rate is obviously fantastic. He missed 2 starts after July. Pitched on the 22nd of July against Seattle. Went just 3 2/3 in that one. If you remember, he was getting short started there for a minute. 7 strikeouts and a walk, 3 hits, no runs, but out after 3 2/3. Faced the Cubs, just 4 innings. Faced 17 hitters, 2 earned runs on 3 hits, struck out 7, walked 2, gone. Missed 2 weeks. Came back on the 15th at the Reds. Just an inning and a third. Gave up 5 earned runs on 4 hits. Just didn't look right. 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. I don't think we're going beyond 5 if we're getting 5. It could just be 3 innings and thank you very much, Mr. Miz. Very concerned about having any ceiling on these projections beyond this, even with the wind, etc., the low totals, blah, blah, blah. Brewers have a very good bullpen. They're happy to go to it. I am concerned about the Mizurowski play at those prices. He breaks very easily against those prices. Sal Frelick at the top of the projected Brewers lineup, 4,300, 3,100, on-base machine at 363. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Look at the on-base percentage. The 9-man on-base is 337. The top of the lineup, those top 4 hitters, it's a 349 on-base. It's a 116 WRC plus. The 9-man WRC plus, even with a couple bumps in the road there, is 108. If we take out that 57 and just 55 plate appearances, it's 115. It's just a good sequencing team. Caleb Durbin at 35-29, slashing 252, 330, 371, getting on base, creating runs at a league average level. Not a monster player, but a kid who's demonstrated an ability to get on base and an ability to put the ball in play. Not a guy who relies on power. Look at those top 2, 2.8% barrels, 3% barrels, sub 30% hard hits. but 12.9% and 9.1% strikeouts against just lower medium type walk rates. Tons and tons of balls in play that are not trying to get out of the ballpark. It's exactly what we're looking for in these kind of conditions if we choose to go with the under-owned bats. 53-33 for William Contreras. Excellent hitter. 18% strikeout, 13.2% walk against Colin Ray. Love the upside there, even if we're taking the home run away. He's only hit 13 this season anyway. He's coming away with a 135 ISO despite his 47.5% hard hit rate. We're just looking for sequencing and base hits. Christian Yelich, 46.9% hard hits, has a tremendous barrel rate, has found his home run stroke this year. He's got 26 on the season, a 202 ISO. A lot of doubles in Christian Yelich's life. A lot of well-struck line drives in Christian Yelich's life. Vaughn, 14 homers on the board, a 181 ISO. Tremendous barrel rate, hard hit rate, not striking out, drawing a low walk rate, so a lot of well-struck balls in play out of him as well. 4,200, 3,000. Easy to reach. Going to be under-owned for his quality. Isaac Collins, getting on a 377 clip over 340 plate appearances. 13 stolen bases, 8 home runs, a 132 WRC plus. What's not to like about the sequencing from this team? Again, Colin Ray doesn't walk a ton of hitters, but 6.5% walks is not nothing, and this team is capable of pushing that up on him. Siegler, 23-21. Playable. Mix and match, cheap pricing helps bring the average down. That said, he's the worst player in this lineup. Blake Perkins, 41-32. A little bit interesting. 3 home runs, 5 stolen bases, and just 90 plate appearances. 185 ISO, 112 WRC plus. Not a dead spot at the bottom of the lineup. Strikes out in a third of his plate appearances. If we're going with the Cubs, it's going to be a lot of the same sounding type stuff. This team, well, we got some clunkers down the bottom in this one. Top of this lineup, even with that 299 in there, that's a 6-man 331 on base. That's a 7-man 120 WRC plus. This team hits more for more power than the Brewers do. But they can also sequence with the best of them. You got multiple guys in the double digits for walks in this lineup. They're going up against Mizurowski, who has a walk issue. Even when he's good, he's putting guys on base via the walk. Not a ton of power showing on the board. No Kyle Tucker in the lineup for the Cubbies, as expected. But Michael Busch is tremendous, 45-29. He's at 24 home runs, getting on base at a 339 clip, creating runs 33% better than average via WRC+. Ian Happ is cheap at 38-28, even in a down season, still getting on at a 328 clip, a positive run creator, 16 home runs. Seiya Suzuki is only 43 on DraftKings. He's 35 still on FanDuel. FanDuel's really holding strong at that price. Tremendous power bat, 27 home runs, a 245 ISO. That said, if we're taking that away a little bit, if he hits one into the wind, it might get knocked back into the outfield. But if anybody's going to hit one, he's one of the more likely candidates. Pete Crow Armstrong is also one of the more likely candidates. Monster barrels out of him. His hard hit is dipped, though, 40.8% now. 27 homers, 30 stolen bases. He's still going to end up with a 30-30 season. Carson Kelly, 4,027, playable catcher, 13 home runs on the board. Nico hits for average, gets on base, steals bases, wreaks havoc on the base paths, 104 WRC plus. Super interesting player for this kind of a game if you're leaning into the bats here. 25-22, very cheap Owen Casey. 10% barrel so far, hit his first home run. 286, 500, 214 ISO, creating runs 17% better than average in the teeny sample of 14 plate appearances. Dansby at 39 at 27 has gotten crazy cheap. 18 homers, 10 steals. Yeah, his WRC plus is below average for the season, but his barrels and hard hits are well above average. Care more about that. Any given slate, tremendous upside. But again, we are concerned about the power, about the wind, yada, yada. Low total. 34-26 for Matt Shaw. 10 homers, 15 steals for counting stats. You can dip down there, but again, not a great spot for offense there. Really not a great spot for anything today. It's very difficult to put Colin Ray on the top of anything. I doubt the ceiling for Miz at those prices. I'm tempted to say bats. Even though they're low ranked on the stacks board, when we take what their extreme low ownership is for the quality, what I'm sure it's going to be, it might actually be bats. I don't think it's crazy to say it's Brewers, Cubs, Colin Ray, Mizurowski, even though Mizurowski greatly outprojects Colin Ray. I just think the clash of the price potentially being overprojected here and the downside for innings potential, it's too great a concern. It wouldn't knock me out of my chair at all if Miz goes out there, goes 5, strikes out 10. That is in play with this pitcher. Know that. But you were paying for that performance, basically. A little bit less than that, but you're paying for the upside day, and it might not be there. Difficult spot. Speaking of difficult, this is a batting tee. This is a tremendous pitcher. He is a hitter over here, pitcher over here. So you ignore that, and you ignore this. But Ohtani's tremendous, 33.3% strikeouts against 5.2% walks, a 3.47 ERA, a 2.58 xFIP in his 9 outings so far. 23 and a third, but he's been ramping up. He did get into the 5th inning the last time out, 4 and a third, faced 19 hitters, 4 earned runs allowed. That was against the Angels. Allowed a home run, struck out 7, walked 0 in that game. A 4-inning game against St. Louis to start before that, 1 earned run on 2 hits, struck out 8, walked 0. So throwing the pitches, building up. I think 5 innings is very much in play, even with Coors Field on the board. You can see what he's doing to the implied total of the Rockies for the time that he's going to be in there. And with their crazy high strikeout rates across a lot of these hitters, there's major upside for Ohtani. That is a 5-inning projection for Ohtani, and he's the second highest projected pitcher behind Yusei Kikuchi, and he's nipping at his heels. So tons and tons of upside. I just don't know if they're ceiling beyond 18 and change DraftKings points, because we're not getting 6. He will not take the mound in a 6th inning. So know that when you're going in there, but at 75, correctly priced for it. At 5,200 on FanDuel, he's a monster hitter. He's got a 22.72 in the home run model today. You absolutely play him over there if you can figure out how to afford Dodgers bats or him on his own. He was landing as a one-off in a fair number of my lineups yesterday. I think there's tons and tons of upside. He's second best player in fantasy baseball, 173 WRC plus, 44 homers, 17 stolen bases. Ridiculous. There's literally no reason to discuss Tanner Gordon. For one, you're maxing out at 5 innings, and he's just terrible. You can see it all for yourself. He's just bad. Just take the Dodgers upside. So Ohtani's not available over here. That does bring the overall team average on DraftKings down, but it also kind of helps with price, because now it's not like, I can't play Ohtani. It's like, I can't play Ohtani. Mookie, struggling his way through the season. 57 seems like a high price for him, but it is Coors Field. 13 home runs, 243, 312, 370, and 90 WRC plus. Where have you gone Mookie Betts? So, I mean, conceivably, you can start there, and everybody's still high priced, but Will Smith's a tremendous catcher, monster premium contact, 15 homers, fantastic slash line at 308, 415, 511, a 160 WRC plus. Freddie Freeman is 6,000. Tons of premium contact out of him. Another 300 hitter. Monster on base, 139 WRC plus. Teoscar Hernandez hits for tons and tons of power. 12.11 in the home run model today. You've got 3 guys above the magic number, including Ohtani, who's more than doubling it. Teoscar's got 20 home runs. So does Andy Pajas on the next spot. Andy's also added 12 stolen bases, 105 and 115 WRC plus. You know I'm going to sing Michael Conforto's praises, even though he doesn't really deserve it. 190, 299, 326, and 80 WRC plus. Still making pretty decent contact. It slipped a little bit. I need that double-digit barrel back if I'm going to talk about it that much. But at 4,000 in Coors Field, from the left side, that's a kid that can still hit. And he's hitting 6th today. I just realized the Mookie's not in the lineup. Just realized we had to confirm. I'm sure you guys are shouting that at me in chat. I just didn't have it on the screen. Yep, Larry was. Now, Miz was out for 2 weeks. He had it wasn't like a muscle injury or anything like that. It was a contusion, I believe. Having last started on July 28th, a comebacker against the Chicago Cubs put The Miz on the 15-day IL, approaching a franchise record winning streak, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, he just got hit by a ball coming back. I think it was on the elbow. But it was just like a cautionary, when you get a dead arm, you're not going to want to go out and pitch a Major League Baseball game. So just an abundance of caution, I think. But they were already, as I pointed out when we were talking about him, they were already short starting him before that break. I think they're just being cautious about innings. They don't need to press it right now. I think they'd rather have him for a playoff run than use him up now. So I have major, major concerns about his depth at that price. Love the talent. Very real. But major concerns about the depth. All right, so the confirmed version of the Dodgers lineup. So no Mookie. Will Smith moves into the 2 spot at 58, 4,000. Again, tremendous option, just gets better. Teoscar up to the 4, Andy in the 5. Conforto moves into the 6. That makes him look a little bit better, 6.33 in the home run model. No consistency whatsoever, but any given slate, monster upside, and he's cheap at cores, which is what we need. Alex Freeland at 36 at 27. Pretty mediocre over 57 plate appearances, but another guy who is just kind of cheap and playing in Coors Field. In the minors, in 453 plate appearances this year as just a 23-year-old in AAA, 12 home runs, 17 stolen bases, 168 ISO, 107 WRC plus, and just okay. Last year in 615 chances, split between mostly AA and then a third of it in AAA, 18 home runs, 31 stolen bases, scored 100 runs, 263, 87, 442, was getting on base like crazy, 135 WRC plus. So the kid's got some ability. He's right on time as far as making it to the show. He's a switch hitter, 3,600 at second and third, works for me at Coors Field on DraftKings. Shortstop eligible when you don't have to worry about Mookie, 2,700. Makes a lot of sense as far as considering him for some shares. And, not going to be low owned, but probably more likely to be lower owned than any of the stars individually. Miguel Rojas at 38, 3,000. You can make some of those arguments for him as far as a little bit of upside given the low strikeout nature of the player, the ability to put the ball in play. Doesn't hit it particularly hard, but 14.6% strikeouts against just 8.8% walks. There are a lot of balls in play out of him, which works to his benefit in course. And then Buddy Kennedy, 23 pretty weak plate appearances this year, 26 pretty weak plate appearances last year, 29 pretty weak plate appearances the year before that, and 94 pretty weak plate appearances the year before that. It still only adds up to 170 some odd plate appearances over those 4 years, if my math is correct there, but they haven't been good. So mix and match quality play at the bottom of the lineup, but very, very cheap again. Second base is probably where you want him. There are bigger bats available at third overall. The Rockies bats. That lineup is confirmed as well. So Ohtani, for the 4 or 5 innings that we're going to get him, very likely to just take the top off this Rockies team. They're frisky. They do have a lot of power, but he does not allow a lot of power. 3.4% barrels and 88 miles an hour of exit velo, 32.2% hard hits, 2.08% home runs in his tiny sample of innings so far this year, and just tremendous for strikeouts, for missing bats. They strike out too much as a lineup. 22.1% for this confirmed version, with several of their better hitters in the mid-20s. That's bolstered by that 9.6% from Tyler Freeman. Maybe he puts a ball in play. Warming Bernabel seems realistically low strikeout so far, decently high average. He's hit 4 home runs along the way this year. Those two guys, for limiting strikeout, for putting balls in play, may be interesting, but everybody else around them is pretty likely to be flailing while Ohtani's on the mound. Look at these. If you leave those guys out, we are at even with that 21.8, 25.3. Let's take out Orlando Arcia as well. Not a threatening hitter, 25.9. Then it didn't make that much of a difference. 25.3, half a point. But still, monster mid-20 strikeout opportunities there. So Ohtani could come away with a solid handful of strikeouts. That's why his projection's so high in only 5 innings. 7,500, fire away on DraftKings. Rockies bats against you. Take a few shots maybe, especially if Ohtani ends up a little bit over-owned on the DK slate at 75. Freeman's cheap at 4,500. Tovar has 7 home runs, a pretty solid slash line, a 100 WRC plus, but a 351 xWOB underneath speaks to the quality. He's cut strikeout. Very interesting when he managed to make contact. Hunter Goodman's 52, where you have to play catchers. 25 home runs on the board from him this year. Major source of power. A lot of strikeouts, not that many walks. Nobody in double-digit walks. Not that Ohtani has a walk problem. Jordan Beck at 42, 34, a multi-category contributor. 14 home runs, 14 stolen bases on the board. You are likely to get some innings against Justin Wrobleski. I think it is after Ohtani, but it's probably only going to be like 2. Warming Bernabel, as mentioned, low strikeout, but not exactly crushing the ball. Has come away with those 4 home runs. One of the more interesting options if you're going to this team, but Mickey Moniak's right there, 38-33 for him is cheap. He's hit 18 homers. He's got a 244 ISO, been creating runs all year, 102 WRC plus. Brenton Doyle, former 2020 guy, having a terrible season. 12 homers, 12 stolen bases, though. A little bit of counting stat upside. Coors Field's on his side. A lot of barrels and hard hits still, even with bad results. Very, very cheap for a Coors game. Arcia, Ryan Ritter down the bottom of the lineup, mix and match pieces, let's say. Ritter's had a good 131 plate appearances, but only a 71 WRC plus, a 238 xWOB under the surface. So not great outside of the 252 part of that slash line. 1 home run, 1 stolen base. I mean, it's Dodgers bats, I guess, however you slice it, but there's also Ohtani on DraftKings, and the lack of Ohtani on DraftKings kind of takes them slightly down. Still the top of the board, though. I'd say Dodgers bats, Shohei Ohtani, Rockies bats do not play Tanner Gordon. Oh, no, Captain America. Cap's losing a parlay around Perdomo. That sucks. Solid player. Oh, no worries, Larry. I just saw it then, but yeah, it was important to go back to and just reinforce why there's not a ton of expectation. Again, the fact that it wasn't a structural injury does at least put it in play that if all goes great, maybe we do get that additional upside from innings pitched, but seems unlikely to me. I think they're managing him with kid gloves right now, and justifiably so. He's one of the higher end talents in all of baseball. Angels lineup is in. So we go through all that together, and now we land on Yusei Kikuchi as the highest projected pitcher of the day. It's going to be fun sometimes. Angels lineup is in. The Reds lineup does not appear to be yet. I see offense in both sides of this one. The Reds checking in with some interesting home run marks against Kikuchi in his ongoing struggle with home runs. Even in a good year for him, he's at 3.06%. He's managed to limit hard hit this year, but not necessarily barrels, his typical fly ball trajectory. 91.3 miles an hour of exit velo just mixed with that kind of an average launch does yield home runs. Substandard via stuff plus, a 3.52 ERA, but a 4.14 xFIP, a 1.44 whip. There's too many guys on base via that 9.8% walk rate. He's a train wreck a lot of the time. He's a total roller coaster. When he's not a train wreck, he's a roller coaster. When he's not a roller coaster, you can kind of come away with some good starts. 24% strikeout rate, 10.4% swinging. There are positive attributes. He's been a better strikeout pitcher in years past, but he's also been worse with walks, worse with power. You take the good with the bad with a pitcher like Yusei Kikuchi. This Reds lineup is at 20.2% strikeouts overall, but again, there are some strikeout targets through the heart of the lineup, and some of their better hitters, even with some improvements for guys like Ellie, still do strike out a lot. Some of the mixed guys through here, Noeve Martez, an appreciably low strikeout guy. Jose Trevino's always been fairly low strikeout, but also not a threatening hitter. 19.6% is typical from Ke'Bryan Hayes at the bottom. He hits the ball squarely, but never sees results for it, really. So several of their lower strikeout guys, not really much of a threat to Kikuchi. There's not a ton of walk in this Reds lineup outside of, Ellie and TJ Friedel up at the top. A lot of what Ellie does poorly doesn't necessarily collide with what the Reds do well. So cue the monster downside day for Kikuchi, of course. But 143 innings, 26 starts. He's good for depth. He's affordably priced on DraftKings. He's fairly priced on FanDuel, I'll say. It's not a good price, but it's a fair price. Nick Martinez comes in at 69 at 75. Not great pricing for him. It's a bad strikeout rate against a good walk rate, 17.158. Pitching to a 4.73 ERA, a 4.43 xFIP. Not terrible as far as the premium contact numbers. He's been downright good at limiting hard hits, limiting exit velo. That does have an impact on home runs, but even with that, 3.32% home runs allowed. The Angels clipped slightly below 10 in the home run model, but you still get Mike Trout, you get Zach Neto, Taylor Ward, Joe Moncada, Joe Adell at solid home run marks with visible upside for more. Tons of barrels out of this team, a lot of hard hits out of this team, multiple guys above 20 home runs. There is visible upside for the Angels at a 4.84 implied total. They're no secret. They will be popular today. Nico Cavadas in the lineup at the dead min price on both sides. That's interesting. Nico 23 home runs in 479 plate appearances down the minors this year. 231 ISO, a lot of strikeout, but also a lot of walk. 3 true outcomes type guy. 31.3 and 15.2% if you care. 104 WRC plus down on the farm. He's 26 and change, so a little bit trending toward quad A territory, but there's realistic power upside for sure. Going up against a high contact righty, this is a great spot to get him started at a very cheap price, and he's probably not going to be somebody that people go to all that much here, I wouldn't think, unless he's really getting talked up elsewhere. Damn it. Every time I need it, this ownership isn't populated. Yeah, sub 5% owned via these projections. You do have a little popularity around the more likely guys in the Angels lineup and a ton of popularity on Kikuchi up at the top on DK, which makes sense. But this is a well-kept secret down there, at least right now. We had him last year for a stint, right? Yeah. 106 plate appearances last year, 4 home runs, sub Mendoza, sub 300 on base. There's nothing special here outside of 4 home runs and 106 chances for a 25-year-old then rookie in the process of hitting a bunch of home runs in AAA. Yeah, I like that as a sneaky play. Travis d'Arnaud is also kind of potentially sneaky from the Angels lineup because people don't really give him the respect that he's due. 6 home runs and 199 plate appearances, just a 159 ISO this year, but maintaining his high-quality barrel rate, his hard hit rates. He strikes out a lot, draws a medium walk, so you get a lot of quality contact when he you get a fair amount of high-quality contact. Let's put it that way. 202 ISO, 15 home runs on the board last year, 235, 301, 437 slash. You can see what I'm talking about there. Low-end batting average, low-end on base, but does come away with home run power when he makes contact. Joe Adell's obvious. Joan Moncada at 4,000, 2,700 might slip through lower owned than some of these other guys. Having a very solid year as far as his premium contact. He's hit 8 home runs in 198 chances. Everything else in the slash line is mediocre. A 198 ISO, 111 WRC plus, though he's been a productive bat for them, and he's cheap, and he slides through these through the ownership a little bit more than the Taylor Wards, the Mike Trouts of the world. Luis Renifo looked like he's going to be popular up toward the top of the lineup. 249, 297, 351 year out of him, 80 WRC plus. Nothing to like about this season, but a guy, when he's going right, does create a lot of runs, does get on base. It's a good spot in the lineup, if nothing else, filling in for Nolan Chanuel in that spot. Zach Neto at 51 at 34, monster home run power, 22 stolen bases, a 119 WRC plus, no-brainer at shortstop if you're considering Angels at all. He's a very viable one-off shortstop as well across both sites if you just use that position that way. A lot of playability in Neto. Mike Trout. He's just gotten cheap. 20 home runs. A lot of inconsistency this year out of Trout, but a 209 ISO. Still hitting for power, if nothing else. Ward has 29 home runs. Adell just one behind him at 28. Tremendous season out of Joe Adell this year. We're just looking for Joe Adell to hit for power. We don't worry about batting average, on base percentage. It would be nice if he could add them. The stolen bases would probably come back, but we'll take the power at these prices. And then Bryce Teodosio down the bottom of the lineup, a mix and match quality guy. Super viable against Martinez. On the red side, low strikeout TJ Friedl got things started. One of the few players on this team that draws walks. 10 home runs, 11 steals, good for counting stats across the board. Excellent piece of correlated scoring to go with Elly De La Cruz. 56-39 for Elly, 19 homers, 31 steals, a 117 WRC plus. He's been tremendous. Miguel Andujar, as we discussed yesterday, has been excellent for multiple years as far as the hit tool, as far as being low strikeout, low walk, a lot of balls in play. Not necessarily great as far as power output, but he bounced for power here with the Reds, and he was an interesting power hitter back in 2018, last time he got a chance to do it. So if they're just asking him to do different things out there, he becomes immediately more interesting at these cheap prices across both sites, especially when you're considering red stacks. Spencer Steer at 39, 3,000, 15 home runs for him, 6 stolen bases. A viable player. It's not him in the 2 spot, though. It's Noelvi Marte. That's even better. Noelvi's having a very strong season since he came back to the lineup. 2 spot benefits him greatly. 4,600 there, 3,200 on DraftKings, 302, 336, 527, a 224 ISO. Kid's just been good. Andujar slides to the 4. Austin Hayes with a little bit of upside. He's made decent premium contact. Hasn't been a great year, though. 308 plate appearances, 10 home runs, a 187 ISO. Those are good, not great numbers, a 105 WRC plus. He's fine, but he's not a crazy high priority. Spencer Steer sliding down the lineup, 3,900, 3,000, has hit 15 home runs. Medium strength numbers, 240, 308, 398. Underwhelming overall at 288. Xwoba doesn't really show any signs of resurgence, but he's playable. Cheap Jose Trevino maybe puts a couple balls in play, but he's not much of a bat, not even 256, 292, 395. Brian Hayes, same thing, puts a lot of balls in play, 45.3% hard hit rate against a low strikeout, low walk, but only 237, 283, 308 this year, 4 home runs, 10 stolen bases at 287 xWOBA. There's not a lot to like about him at the plate. Santiago Espinal, another fairly low-end hitter, just low strikeout, 249, 301, 291. This is a bad version of the Reds at the bottom of the lineup. I do still like the top 6, but 7, 8, 9 are problematic. Between those guys, Brian Hayes in the 8 spot is easily the best option. Yusei Kikuchi. Angels bats, Reds bats. Nick Martinez is problematic, but loosely playable as a dart throw. You're just looking for him to get through 5, 6 innings. He went 7 innings 2 starts ago. That was against the Pirates. 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, just 1 earned run on 4 hits. It's a good start for him. 7 strikeout game against the Dodgers is a total outlier on the 30th of July. 6 innings, 2 runs, a home run allowed, but 7 Ks. That would be a monster upside day if he pulls that off against this Los Angeles team. Last game up, Giants and Padres. Coming up on 6 o'clock. Doesn't look like we've got these lineups in yet. JP Sears, maybe not all that good. 5.12 ERA, a 4.75 xFIP for Sears, but occasionally spikes quality. Lefty who can throw some innings, 20.3% Ks against just a 6% walk rate, but a 1.31 whip. He's lost a little bit around BABIP, around some well-struck balls that lead to base hits, that lead to home runs. 9.1% barrel, 40.2% hard hit, 89.6 miles an hour of exit velo, up at a 4.82% home run rate. There's a lot of flaws with JP Sears, but he's going up against the Giants team that is just a 3.68 implied total in a pitcher's park on a really short pitching day. 7,200, 6,500. He's correctly priced to find out. He's kind of in that mixer with JT Ginn shares. JT and JP. We're, of course, considering Giants on the other side of that. Even at their low total, there are some interesting bats like Rafi Devers, Elliot Ramos, William Adames. They do show some quality here. The Padres going up against Roop. The one thing Roop's doing to them is cutting into those home run numbers. They have a 4.42 implied total. There's a lot of sequencing available, but Roop keeps the ball down fairly effectively. Just a 1.95% home run rate allowed on 9.6 degrees of average launch. Very good at inducing weak and medium contact as well. As we discussed earlier, just 3 innings in his return to action, though, on the 15th. He was out since the 22nd. Prior to that, had a 5-inning start, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, and out after 5. They short-started him a few times along the way in some pretty good starts against good teams for him. I think that's what happens to him here, even if he gets to 5. If he gets to 5. I split the difference. I gave him the 4.5 default. I don't think you have much ceiling here. Even on a good day, the Padres are low strikeout anyway. High-quality sequencing team. So another pitcher that is unlikely to hit what we need him to do, even for the cheaper pricing. Padres bats obviously in play against that. Starting with the Giants, though, Elliot Ramos up at the top, 39.29, has gotten really cheap. 15 home runs, 265, 339, 406, in a bit of an extended slide, but a 112 WRC plus overall, still hits the ball very hard. Interesting player who will snap back into form and will go back up in price a little bit. So we take advantage when he's cheap and when he's going to be under owned, like on a slate like this. Rafi Devers at, what was that, 48, 37? 24 home runs on the board, a 211 ISO, 133 WRC plus. Willie, 12.4% barrels, decent hard hit rate, a lot of strikeouts, but also a lot of walks, up to 19 home runs. It's the best we can do from this lineup. Casey Schmidt at 34 at 26, multi-position eligible, mix and match type player across sites. Does have a good 8% barrel, 46% hard hit. Not a great option, but a decent mid-board type player for a fair price in the middle infield. Wilmer, 35-27, a little bit of history of home run upside, 13 on the season, just a 135 ISO because he doesn't actually hit the ball all that hard, but a decent strikeout rate at 18.4%. That's up a little bit year over year and from the last 2 years. Walk is right about the same level, But balls in play, well-struck balls occasionally from Wilmer, the infrequent home run, but a 7.64 in the home run model on some history. Very affordable at the corners. Young-Hoo Lee at 37 at 3,000, solid line drive option. Mix and match quality player overall as far as the numbers this year, a 109 WRC plus. Productive run creator, but not a major upside bat individually. Low strikeout, medium walk, so a lot of balls in play out of him, but more a correlated scoring option than anything else. Christian Koss at 29, 24, a little bit of upside there, 143 pretty decent plate appearances outside of the on base. Just a 94 WRC plus, but there's some things to like. 3 home runs, 3 stolen bases. Tyler Fitz, mix and match, 219, 278, 330, having a bad year over 240 chances, a 73 WRC plus, pretty low end performance this year, 29.2% strikeout against 6.7% walk also doesn't work. Andrew Neisner is kind of interesting. Low strikeout, low walk so far this year across just 59 plate appearances that have otherwise been atrocious. 1 home run in that sample. Last year, just 93 plate appearances, 1 home run. Year before, 10 homers in 241 plate appearances. A 183 ISO. Year before that was not that many, not that good across 293, but this was a growth year, and then just didn't really get opportunities last year or so far this year. But it's a kid who can put interesting bat on ball, 7.9% barrel, 40.9% hard hit in that year. If he's doing that combined with lower strikeout rates, that's an interesting bat, and nobody's going to Andrew Neisner at the bottom of a lineup with a 3.68 implied total. 2,100 near the dead min on DraftKings where you need catchers, 21 on FanDuel. You can see the 4.31. It's not a special opportunity, but if you're stacking up Giants for reasons, then I would mix him in. You hope he moves up the lineup by 2 spots would be even better. Nando Tatis, 52-34, top of the Padres, 25 stolen bases, still getting on base at a 370 clip, a 128 WRC plus. We can argue with the power output with some of the performance this season, but still a tremendous walk, solid strikeout rate, much like, Corey Seager? If you just take the name off the jersey and just look at these numbers across the board, you'd be like, wow, that is a really good player that I want to roster for 52 for 34. So just don't sweat that his name happens to be Fernando Tatis Jr., and we expect more from a player named that. Luis Arraez at 33-27. Solid average. On base is okay at 325, but needs to find more of that BABIP because he doesn't do anything else. Just needs to strike the ball, loop it over the second baseman's head, come away with his base hits. Manny Machado at 5,000, 3,300 behind the table setter like that is interesting. 20 homers, 11 stolen bases, a 354 on base, creating runs at a 135 clip. Just a 187 ISO despite consistently well-struck baseballs, 12.9% barrel, 52.7% hard hit. Underperforming that ISO by a little bit. That should be a 200-plus ISO. So there are more results to be found in here from Manny Machado, even in a very good season. I would argue that he's a little bit cheap at 5,000 at 3,300. Ryan O'Hearn, 36-27, in and out of the lineup a little bit while with the Pods, but low strikeout, high walk. Hasn't really found a lot of success so far with San Diego, but was having another great season with Baltimore. He's been good for a couple of years now. 15 home runs on the board, a solid run creator, a 132 WRC plus. Xander Bogaerts is only 38-27. He's had a great season, 10 homers, 19 steals, 333 on base, a 106 WRC plus. Yeah, it's maybe not the tremendous power bat or anything, but he's very, very good at creating runs, getting on base, being involved, being very, very cheap and under-owned. Gavin Sheets and Ryan O'Hearn in the same lineup is kind of interesting. They're first base outfield eligible for O'Hearn on DraftKings, so you can do it over there. FanDuel, it matters less what the positions are. Sheets has 15 home runs in his 409 plate appearances, a 111 WRC plus. Laureano's been interesting all year at 4,000, 2,900. He's in play, 19 homers on the board. Cronenworth is a mix and match infielder on any given slate. He does come with a little bit of upside, fairly low strikeout, decent walk rate, good at getting on base, setting the table. Good wraparound option from down here as well. Now that he's regularly hitting toward the bottom of the lineup, that 359 can pay off as a good leadoff hitter since they refuse to hit Arraez ahead of Tatis. I would look at Cronenworth as the guy who technically hits ahead of Tatis the second, third, and fourth times through the lineup. And then Freddie Fermin, an interesting catcher because he hits for average. He doesn't do a lot of other special things, but he's hit 4 home runs in his 256 chances, slashing 267, 316, 352. We've seen him hit for better average than that. So 2,300 just to put the ball in play 2 or 3 times, kind of interesting. Again, Landon Root will take away a little bit of home run upside while he's in the game, but I do not expect him to get out beyond 5 innings. A little bit of upside beyond that with the Pods, and there's upside for sequencing against Roop, and they're very much in play anyway. Padres bats. An Untrustworthy, but very, very cheap JP Sears. Giants bats. I think Landon Roop is a little bit too high priced for the lack of innings that we're going to get. I really don't think we've got much depth there. Swoosh Bang was at Costco, got here late. Nothing else crazy going on in chat. Quiet day in the chat a little bit. Coming up on 2 hours. That was the end of the game-by-game rundown. Just after 6 o'clock. We're not in need to punch out immediately to get the site updated territory, but I might as well get out of here, get the site updated. Again, Ohtani at 75 on DraftKings. I think he's in play. I think 5 innings is realistic here. I think he could come away with a monster strikeout total in 5 innings. You don't have too much ceiling beyond, say, a flat 20, but 20 could easily win this slate at 7,500. On FanDuel, you don't even have him available as a pitcher, but he's not available as a bat on DraftKings. Kikuchi, uncomfortable at 96 on FanDuel up at the top of the board, but does have actual upside, does have the ability to pay that projection off and that price. 85 is a little bit more cozy on DraftKings, but he comes with the same roller coaster nature. 92.81, very good pricing for Drew Rasmussen on DraftKings. Happy to pay that price against my Yankees on FanDuel. I do think for 6 innings, he can very easily handle those Yankees. Definite downside given the ballpark, given the tremendous power, but it's also a diminished version of the Yankees lineup. Keep that in mind. JT Ginn, 67.58, probably going to get destroyed. Comes with a little strikeout upside. Frisky option at those prices. I think he's going to get some clicks. Seemed like he was getting a little bit of attention, but sub 10% on FanDuel, sub 5% on DraftKings at that 58. I mean, it's not like you've got a comparably priced option that actually looks all that good. You're going to convince me that JP Sears at 65 is better than JT Ginn at 58? I don't think so. There's an argument to be made that the Athletics traded JP Sears away because he's not as good as JT Ginn. None of these guys. Bailey Ober this year at 71. No, not against that Athletics team. Nick Martinez, short starting any of these guys. Maybe Colin Ray at 67 is actually the best argument since he's at least got the wind on his side, but he's bad. That is not a good pitcher. That is an excellent Brewers team. They sequence like crazy. I don't think Miz at 98, 93 is going to be your answer in any way. I don't think you're getting beyond 5 innings out of Miz here. He's way too expensive. The quality's there. The upside's there, of course. If he went out and you guaranteed 6 innings, for one, he'd be higher projected, and I'd be selling it like crazy at those prices. But I do not think that's the situation. Even with the wind on his side, that's a max projection right there. Hunter Waldrop is the main piece of news for the slate. Right there in the middle of the board at 91.87 against that White Sox team. Solid upside. Kid's got a lot of good strikeout stuff. That said, people are going to know. I mean, we came into the show talking about it. I picked him up this week. People know that he's there. He's going to get popular. That White Sox team has been ruining plays like this lately. That's not the reason to maybe get a little bit less excited about him. But those are not cheap prices. It's not like you're getting them free. So when not free collides with highly owned, inexperienced, dicey. Noah Cameron was Joker's pick. Going up against the gettable Texas squad, 93,900. At least you've got security of innings. So Cameron's there. This is a wild pitching slate. This is an ugly, ugly board. It should be fun to watch scoring tonight. Cap needs Perdomo to get this at bat. What is he? Is he due up? Where are we at there? Ooh, tied at 2 in the bottom of the 10th, huh? We still got a few guys to go. I would have sat and watched it if he was coming up. No outs, bottom 10, runner on second. I hate that rule. Ugh. I always forget about it until we actually get to extra innings. It's the dumbest rule in baseball. They need to take that away. Rules that give us less baseball are stupid. Better paced baseball is fine. I'm a fan of the pitch clock and the and all that stuff to keep the game moving. Looks like Alec Thomas is out. One down. You got a shot at it. They also might just get out of this inning, and you might get them with an RBI opportunity in the next inning. Obviously, you need multiple things to happen there. Home run pick of the day was Brandon Lau. Going back a couple hours of showtime to give that one to you. That was from the Tampa Bay Rays, who do look very hard hitting against the playable Cam Schlittler as well. I skipped over him, but middle of the board, one of the more fairly priced pitchers, comes with a little upside, comes with a lot of danger in that ballpark, with several of the Rays well into the double digits in the home run model, including a very popular Brandon Lau, who I made the home run pick of the day, but also Junior Caminero, who in ownership projections look way under-owned for that spot. Rays are really interesting today. Good luck out there tonight, gang. If you're using the projections, I'll have them updated in mere moments. Just give me a sec to get off the show. Check out rotoscouts.com. Everything's under $1 a day. $5 weeklies through the end of August gives you access to anything that hits that website. Every sport is included for that price, so check it out. Always under $1 a day at Rotoscouts. Follow the at Rotoscouts Twitter handle. Send some results screenshots my way when you do. Oh, I forgot about that. Damn. Before you all go, congratulations again to our guy, Tall Tale. Solid takedown yesterday. Had some, what did he have here? Some Yankees with, looks like some White Sox in there. Had that Vasquez kid from the Orioles. Only scored 4 points on DraftKings at 15% ownership, but whatever. Sixth place for $250 in one. And what was his other? 6 for $250. Took down a total of $425 on his $55 worth of entries across a few different entries. One lineup on DraftKings. Solid day. A 6th, the 10th, 129th in the big lotto. But a solid day across some of those tournaments. Pays to play some of those smaller field, those single entries. Pays off in a big way. So congrats again to Tall Tale. Having a solid season. You can do the same for under $1 a day. So check out rotoscouts.com, gang. Good luck out there tonight. Somebody go win something. Share those results when you do at Rotoscouts or in the free premium Discord, which is linked below the video here. Back tomorrow for a Thursday, probably shorter slate on getaway day. We'll see what it looks like. Later, gang.